When a wife does this one thing, she does marriage God's way. It's just that simple. God did not intend to make marriage complex. He intends for an uneducated and primitive jungle person who believes in Jesus to understand and apply this foundational summary statement on marriage, as he does a nuclear physicist. Recently, I chatted with a person who has his PhD in Old Testament Hebrew, and I made the point that God intends for a primitive person created in His image to hear Ephesians 5:33 and apply it. This means God does not intend to make this complex for anyone, whether a 13-year-old jungle girl who knows Jesus, but she's newly married in an assigned marriage to the chief's son, or a 36-year-old who just married and graduated from Oxford Medical School as a brain surgeon who heads to Harvard Medical School to teach. That idea hit this Old Testament scholar deeply. He said, yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. God does intend this to be simple, love and respect. Second, this simple message illuminates us on why we negatively react to each other and what to do to reduce these negative reactions. Can I ask you a question? Do you negatively react to each other in your marriage more than you find acceptable? Most of us say yes to that. I will explain how to decode what is really going on during most negative reactions, which is just one thing in her and one thing in him, and how to diffuse that negativity. I refer to this negative reaction as the crazy cycle. This crazy cycle explains why we negatively react to each other, and I will give you the tools to jump off the crazy cycle when it begins to spin, and it spins for all of us. Third, this simple message empowers you by enabling you to motivate the other. We will learn what the key is to motivating another person. This one thing has revolutionized many marriages. This message has been translated into 21 different languages around the world and growing. It really works. It takes some work, as my wife Sarah says, but it works. It really does influence and energize your spouse. I refer to this as the energizing cycle. The energizing cycle explains why and how to motivate your spouse and what they can do to motivate you. And fourthly, lastly, everything you do in this marriage matters to God, even when it doesn't matter to your spouse. When your spouse does not respond to you, God does. Now, we're not unrealistic about marital problems. There are seasons when you feel like you are holding up both ends of the log. Your spouse does not seem interested in positively reciprocating at this point in time. Whatever their reason, they are not meeting you halfway. Is all lost? Not according to the Bible. I refer to this as the rewarded cycle. The rewarded cycle explains what to do when a spouse is not responding. God rewards what you do even though your spouse seems distant at this juncture. Whatever their reasons, they cannot stop you from doing the one thing God calls you to do. You are free, and I will explain why. Tens of thousands of couples have gone through this simple love and respect message. Are you ready? For these 10 sessions, you will need the workbook. In the workbook, we have additional information that will enable you to apply this simple message. For instance, we have discussion questions for you to answer, stories to read and discuss, a devotional session, and the pertinent information available to you for quick review and reference. We also have a notebook within the workbook that allows you to take notes as you watch the video. Let's begin this inspired and inspirational message based on Ephesians 5:33. One well-known person who's a friend of mine refers to this message as the Holy Grail of marriage. He's also said that it's comparable to discovering medicine that cures the common cold. Years ago, I did a series at my church called Male and Female Differences. We mailed a flyer to the homes in the community. I received a report from one family about the pamphlet. At that time, their aged grandmother visited them from Europe. As she rocked in her chair, she noticed the flyer on the table next to her with the title, Male and Female Differences. She said to the family seated in the room with her, "They just now figuring this out?" Well, ma'am, perhaps less than many of us imagine. Because we're equal does not mean that we're the same. Some have not figured this out. In this first session, we will have fun looking at one main difference between a husband and a wife, which applies to all men and women in every culture. When we see this one main difference, conflicts lessen. From the thousands of testimonies I've received, it is not an overstatement to say that this information has revolutionized many marriages around the world. This message, in fact, has been translated into 21 languages. After you watch session number 1 in your workbook, I will guide you to think about and discuss several key insights that are crucial for you to know in moving forward. You will need the workbook to do this. In the workbook, in session 1, you will also receive a devotional which is called Pink and Blue, Not Wrong, Just Different. You will do this a couple days after watching this video. It'll take about 5 minutes. There's a very helpful action item for that week. Let's begin session 1. Pay close attention to what a wife feels when her husband buys her a diet book. If her spirit deflates, is it really about the diet book or something else? Also, pay close attention to what a husband feels when his wife buys them the third marriage book in the last 12 months for the two of them to read together. If his spirit deflates, is it really about the third marriage book or something else?
Have you ever had a conflict with your spouse or significant other when suddenly the issue didn't seem to be the issue? What is the issue when the issue isn't the issue? I mean, you're having this conversation on this topic when suddenly you see their spirit deflate. And you go, what? What? What did I say? What? Because suddenly you realize that the issue that's real is no longer the root. So the question that I'm asking is, what is the issue when the issue isn't the issue? I'm going to share with you that I believe that there's usually one thing going on in a woman and one thing going on in a man. And they're not the same. And in fact, when she deflates, as a man, we're in disbelief because we can't imagine deflating over what's bothering her. And we go, oh, brother, now what did I say? Right? And then when he deflates, you're thinking, oh, it's all about you. It's all about you. That counselor's profiling you of narcissistic was correct. And this is what makes it interesting. What I'm going to share with you, though, it's pretty simple. There's one thing in her and one thing in him. The challenge, of course, is they're not the same, and we have a tendency to dismiss the other as childish when they deflate. Because not only did we not intend to do anything that would cause them to deflate, now they seem to be offended at us for something that we didn't think we did and really is their issue. But none of us have really had that experience, right? I mean, we had it tonight en route, right? And so here you have this one thing in him, and I'm going to try to persuade you. You don't have to buy into it right now because it would appear very simplistic, and most of us say, well, it's complex. Emerson, our relationship is just complex. And now I'm suggesting to you, no, it's probably more simpler than you think, but I don't want to come across as a simpleton, and nor do I want to suggest that the issue is easy to deal with, but I am going to at least attempt to persuade you. You don't have to buy into it right now, but let's see if I can make the case. And let me illustrate how it happens. When Sarah and I were first married, we were at Wheaton College, going to school, grad school there, and we came down to Peoria, Illinois, which is about 3 hours south where my mom and dad lived, and just to spend a weekend there. And I was wearing contact lenses that time, and I forgot my contact lens case. So that I'm thinking, oh, brother. So it's night, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with my contacts? So I improvised. Went in the bathroom. I got 2 juice glasses out of the kitchen, put water in them, you know, and took out the contact, put it in one of the juice glasses, the contact out of the other, and then I sat the 2 juice glasses on the back of the toilet and went to bed. Don't get ahead of me. and so I then get up in the morning and I, pour it out. There's that one, and I put it in, and then I get the other, and I cannot find that other contact. It is nowhere to be found. So I leave the bathroom and I go out. Sarah's outside with my mom and dad, and I said, Sarah, did you use one of those juice glasses last night in the bathroom? She said, no, I did. Oh, yes. Yeah, in fact, I got up in the middle of the night and I took a pill and used one of those glasses. She drank my contact. And then my dad had the audacity to tell me how he thought we could get it back. But I said to Sarah, I can't believe that you drank my contact. She said, well, I can't believe that you'd put your contact in a juice glass in the back of the toilet. So, well, I can't believe that you'd drink out of a juice glass in the back of a toilet. At a certain point in that conversation, Sarah's spirit deflated. Why did her spirit deflate? I'm going to suggest to you it had nothing to do about the contact that she just drank. It was no longer the issue. The contact was a real issue to me. But it was no longer the root issue to Sarah. So what was the issue if the issue wasn't the contact that she just swallowed? I'll tell you in a moment. Fast forward, it's Christmas time. We go again to visit my parents. Sarah's a farm girl from Indiana. Her dad farmed over 2,000 acres of corn, huge operation. And she was part of 4-H and all of that. I mean, she can do it all. In fact, she was actually Miss Congeniality of Boone County. She's a sanguine personality. Life is wonderful. But she can do it all. And I didn't know it, but she had made me a jean jacket. She made it. And I didn't know it, but it's that last gift on Christmas morn, right? And so we've opened up all our presents, and now comes this last gift that she's going to give to me. And I open it up. It's a jean jacket. And I put it on. I said, thank you. And she's watching me. And she said, you don't like it. I said, I do like it. No, you don't. I said, Sarah, I like it. You don't like it. I said, Sarah, I like this jean jacket. You don't like it. I said, why are you telling me that I don't like the jean jacket? Because in our family, when we like something, we go, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I said, in our family, we say thank you. And at a certain point, my spirit deflated. Why? Because it was no longer about the jean jacket. I mean, that was real to her, but it was no longer the root to me. So what was the issue if the issue wasn't the jean jacket? I'll tell you in a moment. Suppose you're complaining to your husband, I feel fat, I feel ugly, and just, going on and on. And he's this guy that's sensitive and loving, and he's listening to you. And he comes to the Christian bookstore here. What? And the lead book is Dieting for Today's Christian Woman. But the subtitle is Post-Holiday Menus. So he says to himself, is this a diet book or a cookbook? He goes with cookbook. And he buys it. And he comes home and he gives you this cookbook. And for a brief moment, he thinks he's at Cape Canaveral. You go ballistic. And on the way up, you scream through your pink megaphone into his blue hearing aids, you men have two brains. One's lost and the other's out looking for it. Now, why? Because at a certain point, it was no longer about the diet book. Oh, the diet book was a real issue. But there comes a moment when that's not the root issue. Her spirit, in this case, erupted. So what was the issue if the issue wasn't the diet book? I'll tell you in just a moment. And what's interesting is if she came home and gave him a diet book, what would his response be? Hey, thanks. What's for dinner? See, they've done research on men and women in terms of self-image and body image issues, and a woman can be an absolutely perfect 10 in every area. models have evidenced this in research, but almost every woman, and every woman will see the flaws. She sees her flaws and then moves into self-deprecation, self-deprecation, self-deprecation. It's consistently the case. He, on the other hand, can have a 40-pound spread just in the front. And he's got a 40-pound in the back, and he played football 20 years ago, and he's still, you know, shoveling it in like he was still on the gridiron, and he's a... And when he looks at himself in the floor-length mirror, what's he see? Atlas. He can bring Atlas out anytime he wants. He just doesn't want to right now, okay? But he knows there's a six-pack in there. The muscular type. Huge male and female differences. And so when her spirit deflates over the diet book, he goes, oh, brother, see if I ever get you a diet book again. You see, he can't believe that she would react that way because it's no big deal. Give me a diet book. Bullets bounce off me like candy. I mean, and so it doesn't bother him. Let's fast forward 6 weeks now. You go into that bookstore, and the lead book is The Key to Marital Bliss, Communication. You grab that book, and you start reading it. You say, wow, that's us, that's us, that's us. He needs to read this book. And you buy it, and you purchase this book. This is the third marriage book, number 3, that you've purchased for the two of you to read in the last 12 months. And you come home and you devour it. You say, wow, he needs to read this for sure. But he didn't have time. He's got a second job. He's been busy. So I'm going to highlight in yellow some of the key sections. And then you set it on this stand next to the recliner that he reclines in when he watches SportsCenter. So he comes in and he sees this book. Oh, brother. Oh, no. Third marriage book in 12 months. Oh, I don't know why the publishers just don't publish them in yellow. Good grief. He just refuses to read it. Why? And his spirit deflates. He just shuts down. The rest of the evening, he's moody. He doesn't want to have anything. He doesn't even move it. Why? Because at a certain point, it's not about the marriage book. His spirit deflates over something else. The marriage book is real, but it's not the root. And what's interesting is if he brought home a marriage book for you, what would be your response? You'd be so elated, you'd be on the phone to your girlfriends. He bought a marriage book. No, I didn't tell him to. No, I didn't even hint. No, it's not assigned reading for some course that Pastor Greg is giving. Why? We're connecting. So what is the issue if the issue isn't the contact lens that was swallowed? What is the issue if the issue isn't the jean jacket? What is the issue if the issue isn't the diet book? What is the issue if the issue isn't the third marriage book? The University of Washington studied 2,000 couples for 20 years. And they said, we now know the 2 key ingredients for successful marriages. And when these 2 are present, the marriage does succeed. And when they aren't present, the marriage fails. I mean, that's a dogmatic statement. And always think in terms of bell curve. There's an exception to everything that I say, okay? And when you do research, I've got my PhD in family studies. When you think of this, I'll make statements, but I'm not going to be dogmatic. I may say, you know, always, never, although I usually try to avoid that. But always think there's going to be an exception at the end. The bell is this main section. And so when they looked at this, they thought love and respect, when they looked at these people in laboratory settings over months, people would live in these apartments, they would clinically look at them, they would wire them physiologically. I mean, it was an intense, tense observation. And these patterns began to surface that were consistent. And what they said then is love and respect is this set of 2 ingredients. But then it became gender specific. For instance, 85% of those who stonewall, who just withdraw at a certain point between male and female in an intimate relationship, when there's this provocation, when there is this conflict, 85% of those who just kind of say, drop it, forget it, I don't want to talk about it anymore, is the male. 85%. Now, 15% are women. If you're in that 15% as a woman, you're not a male. People need to understand, we're going to talk about some constants and we're going to talk about some variables. When we talk about bell curve, I've had women say, well, I must be a man because I stonewall. My mother stonewalled and she's not a man. But I'll explain to you why women stonewall, and it's different than why men do. So work with me on these stats. Always remember, don't say, well, I must be a man. No, you're not. I can kind of tell you're not, okay? So they asked the men, why they were withdrawing and stonewalling, and the men kind of explained it. And one of the things they discovered is that they were measuring the man's physiology, and they noticed that these men's heartbeats would get to 99 beats per minute. 99 beats per minute, you're in warrior mode. He looked calm. She looked like she was out of control. All right, come in. She was relatively calm, heartbeat-wise, because she had a goal in mind. He, on the other hand, is feeling provoked. That's why he says, you're picking a fight. Drop it. I don't want to fight. He said, I'm not trying to pick a fight. What are you talking about? So what does a man do who's an honorable man when he's feeling provoked and he's in warrior mode? There's either fight or flight, and he doesn't want to fight with her. So there's flight. You withdraw. Two buddies who are best of friends who have been buddies since first grade, they die for each other, but they get in this moment where they are really spitting mad. What do? We are lethal. So we say, drop it, forget it. We back away. It's honorable. But in the culture of intimacy, it's interpreted as unloving by almost every woman. And in fact, the women were asked, what do you feel when your husband is withdrawing like that? And this was the word they used. It feels like an act of hostility. Act of hostility. That's the opposite of love. Act of hostility. And then the women said that they could not imagine shutting down over what they perceived to be a minor criticism. They just can't grasp this. Particularly because they feel they're trying to help, which is on the other side of this thing. But so here he seeks to do the honorable thing, is my observation, but he's interpreted as hostile and unloving. What were the women doing? Well, apart from political correctness, this is what they said about women. Women criticize and complain, criticize and complain, criticize and complain. That's how it is. The clinicians, yep, it's yep, that's criticism, it's complaint, yep. Now, the question is why? Because she cares. As I say, women confront to connect. They don't confront to control. It's not a turn-on woman to control her husband. She doesn't get sexually turned on, for instance, by trying to control him. That's not her heart. She confronts to connect. But it appears as though she confronts to control, because there's no person in your life, gentlemen, who talks to you this way. And if they did, another guy was talking, it'd be absolutely true. He's trying to control me. But she's not. And this is what makes it difficult. But nonetheless, there's this ongoing criticism and complaint. And they asked the men, what do you feel? And ongoing criticism felt like contempt to these men for who they were as human beings. That she's using this topic as an opportunity to send me a message that she doesn't like me. So here she does the caring thing, but she's interpreted as contemptuous. And you have this very interesting disconnect. And this is what we want to unpack. We want to look at this dynamic. So what is the issue when the issue isn't the issue? The issue is, in most cases, bell curve, she's feeling unloved. In most cases, he's feeling disrespected. And what's even more interesting is that he seeks to do the respectful, honorable thing only to be labeled as unloving. And she seeks to do the loving thing, and he says, I'm sick and tired of this disrespect. Sick and tired. No one talks to me this way. I don't deserve this disrespect. And she's in disbelief, because all she's trying to do is do the loving thing. And he's in disbelief when he hears you're the most unloving person on the planet when he's trying to do the honorable thing. Who's right? Yes. It just depends on whether you're going to videotape through pink or videotape through blue. And what's interesting is that we really shouldn't be surprised by this. Jesus asked a question in Matthew 19. Have you not read, he who made them from the beginning made them male and female? And he asked that question in that first century time. And so apparently, he was referring back to Genesis, the account of the beginning, that God made us male and female. Fewer people today have read Genesis in that sense, and so it's more fitting perhaps today. Have you not read? He who made them from the beginning made them male and female. I like the fact that God designed women to look at the world through pink sunglasses, and it colors what she sees. She has pink hearing aids, and it affects what she hears, and she speaks through a pink megaphone, and she expects everybody to know what she means by what she says because her girlfriends know what she means by what she says. He, on the other hand, has blue sunglasses, and it colors what he sees. And he has blue hearing aids, and it affects what he hears. And he speaks through a blue megaphone. He expects everybody to know what he means by what he says because all of his buddies know what he means by what he says. And this is what's interesting. You can say the same thing but mean totally different things. For instance, a woman will say, I have nothing to wear. Right? Your wife perhaps said that tonight. I have nothing to wear. What she means is she has nothing new. Her husband says, I have nothing to wear. What he means is he has nothing clean. And what I love about that illustration is it's the same sentence. I have nothing to wear. I have nothing to wear. We're saying the same thing, but we mean something different. And that's an innocent illustration. Imagine when we are saying things to each other and we know what we mean, but the other is putting a meaning on that we're not saying. And we don't have to always verbalize it. In a conflict, he knows, and every guy knows he's doing the honorable thing by just dropping it. It's not that big of a deal. I'm going to try to de-escalate this thing from getting out of control. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm a good-willed man who would die for you if you don't kill me first. And every guy says, yeah, well, look at that. That's an honorable man there. I don't know if I want to be married to her. So he tries to do the honorable thing, and somehow he gets labeled as unloving. And then she's coming at him. We need to talk. We need to talk now. Sit down and talk to me. She's trying to do the loving thing. You connect. You don't just drop things. You don't ignore it. You got to resolve and say, I'm sorry, will you forgive me? And there's a little dance that she feels very comfortable with, and he just says, I don't want to do it. And all the women are in disbelief. I can't believe that man is so cruel. That sweet thing, that dewdrop. She is so wonderful. So here you have good-willed people. And Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7:33 and 34, the husband is concerned about how to please his wife, and the wife is concerned about how to please her husband. And yet at the end of the day, we feel the other doesn't really care, doesn't really want to please us, and definitely doesn't understand. So we have a huge disconnect. Because he knows his heart's in the right place. He knows he fails, but he knows he's not ill-willed. And she knows her heart's in the right place. She's not ill-willed. See, you're not married to someone who gets up early in the morning to storyboard ways to irritate you. Yet at the end of the day, we're irritated. So we have to figure out, okay, what's the deeper issue here? What's really going on? See, because what happens is that when she deflates, usually she's feeling unloved, but then she ends up reacting in a way that feels disrespectful to us. And when we deflate, it's because we're feeling disrespected, and we end up reacting in a way that feels unloving. And we're not tracking with, we're feeling actually offended in the first place, and then suddenly we find they're offended at us. And we get confused, and then we say, I think I must have made a mistake. No, you didn't make a mistake. 1 Corinthians 7:28. If you marry, you have not sinned, but you will have trouble. We should put that on our refrigerators. 1 Corinthians 7:28. If you marry, you have not sinned, but you will have trouble. And what trouble is he talking about? In verses 3 and 4, he said, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. What's he talking about? Sex. He's saying that we have equal authority, equal say when it comes to sexual relationship. So then it begs the question. I said, Lord, so you're saying we have equal authority? Yes. So there's equal say when it comes to sexual intimacy according to 1 Corinthians 7? Yes. Well, so Lord, like on Tuesday night, does he decide they're going to have sex, or does she decide that they're not to? Yes. Lord, have you designed trouble? Yes. See, some of you are in the center of God's will and don't know it. Tuesday night is coming. We have different preferences. Neither one of us are wrong. We're just different. Pink's not wrong for not being blue. Blue's not wrong for not being pink. Just different. And because he, let's say, wants sex and you don't, neither of you are wrong, you're just different. And when you're 70 years old and he doesn't want sex and you do, neither one of you are wrong, you're just different. But God put us in that position to have tension and trouble. And you're not outside of the will of God, you're in the will of God, and he wants us to learn how to do that dance. But we have to decide as a culture or as a church, are we going to live by Hollywood or the Holy Word? Because Hollywood says you can have a 99% wonderful relationship. The Holy Word says you're going to have an 80-20. 20% is going to have trouble. And that's okay. You didn't make a mistake, but a little leaven leavens the whole. So if you've got this 99% expectation and you're running at 80%, then that 19% will disillusion you and will embitter you. And then that will be a little leaven that leavens the whole 80%. And you're not happy on any front with each other because you're not doing the dance the way God intended. And in fact, you need to understand something. Sailors prepare for the storm when they're still in port. And sailors know when they go to the open seas that a storm is coming. And when the storm comes, they don't panic. They don't, oh no, a storm on the open sea. And then they jump ship.
Now there go 42 sailors over the rail.
Why?
Because there's a storm. That's trouble. They don't like trouble. And they feel they made a mistake, joining the Navy. I mean, it was a mistake. I mean, there's trouble. I mean, there's a storm. And so you got to jump ship. That's the way you solve the problem.
So some of you got married 20 years ago, and now you got troubles and storms. You're about to jump ship, aren't you? And the Lord's looking at you just like you looked at the sailors going over the rail. Did we not tell them that they were going to be? Yes, when you did, Lord, you told them. Do they not read? Apparently not. What movie did they see last? It was another chick flick. I'm facetious. But here's the point. You need to be encouraged, not shamed. You need to be encouraged that you're probably in the center of God's will. So there are these moments when you get into the situation where you have a difference of opinion and you see his spirit deflating, oh, come on, and her spirit, oh, come on. Or can you begin to realize, you know what, God made us male and female, not wrong, just different, and the Lord wants us to learn how to deal with this. I mean, if we were the same, one of us is unnecessary. See, we've made a huge mistake that because we're equal, we're the same. That's the dumbest conclusion any society could ever make. We are equal in the eyes of God. But we're not the same. And so Jesus is saying, have you not read who made them from the beginning, made the male and female? Like, come close, church, listen to me. And if you listen to me, it'll be okay, the Lord is saying. But what's even more powerful is the greatest treatise in the New Testament on marriage is in Ephesians 5. Paul wrote this letter to this church at Ephesus, and there's this section, which we've now put as chapter 5, and it's dealing with marriage. And then verse 33 is the summary statement to the greatest treatise in the New Testament on marriage. And here it is. It's like Abba Father has spoken his last word to the church on marriage. You know, if my dad was dying in his deathbed, and I was in the room with him alone, he said, son, come here, I need to say something to you. I need to say something to you. Well, you know that whatever my dad's words are going to be on his deathbed are going to be the most powerful. The last words a person speaks are the most important words. That's been consistently the case around the world. And so you're going to listen very carefully because they're going to come deep from my dad's soul, deep into my soul. Well, Abba Father's not dying, but it's though he's saying, come close, church, listen to me. Listen to me. And if you listen to me, everything's going to be okay. And what is it that we read there? That a husband must love his wife and a wife must respect her husband. The University of Washington studied 2,000 couples and discovered that. The Lord said it 2,000 years ago. But are we going to listen to the Holy Word or Hollywood? Which way are we going to go? It doesn't mean the people are ill-willed in Hollywood. They just know how to make money. They know how to write script. They know how to tap into what I call paradise lost, but remains as a residual within our souls. There is an idealism that we were to live happily ever after. And that is there, and it's not myth. It's planted there by God. But Jesus is very clear when he said, not yet. Now that this world is the way it is, not yet. There's a little while of suffering. It's not yet, but it's coming. Paradise is coming. It will be resumed. There is a new Jerusalem. There is this moment. But paradise is lost. We are now outside of Eden. We've exited. And we live in a fallen world. But the image of God, the residual of that is still within our hearts. And there are very creative people that tap into it. And they can get us to cry. They can get us to go, oh. And they are in big homes with lots of money. And they're good-willed people, and they are smart. But if you don't understand what it's doing to you, it can create disillusionment and embitterness. And then you'll have a little leaven, and leaven's a whole. And then your kids cry themselves to sleep at night like I did. And so one of the things that I'm campaigning on is to help us to revisit this, because I don't believe that we've made a mistake. I believe we're mad at each other, we irritate each other, and understandably so. But we didn't marry Hitler's distant cousin. Although I had a person at my conference and said, my wife actually is. He says, she's a good woman, but she is actually the distant cousin of Hitler. So I don't know about that illustration, if I have to stop using that or not. But so here you see this, Ephesians 5:33, and so what's Paul saying? That a husband must love, and this is agape love. This is interesting. There are three Greek words, agape, eros, and phileo. And these are three Greek words that describe love. Agape is this unconditional, godlike love. Eros, we know, is the erotic. And then you have phileo, which is Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. That there's a friendship component, that kind of thing. But only husbands in the domestic portions of Scripture are commanded to agape love their wives. Now, as a pastor, I had the privilege of studying the Bible 30 hours a week for nearly 20 years. And so I saw some things that just really revolutionized my thinking. And one day I was praying and said, Lord, why have you commanded me to agape love Sarah? And there's no command of Sarah to agape love me as a husband. It's not there. Now, in the Titus 2 passage, the older women are to encourage the younger women to love their husbands and love their children. That's not agape, that's phileo. She is to phileo her husband, not fillet her husband. I just want you to know that's a transliteration. That's not to be applied, literally in terms of how it sounds. And so what happens in the home, she becomes unfriendly. Why? And she needs the older woman to encourage her. Why? Because she's exhausted. She's giving, caring. And she finally just, I don't like anybody in this home. You say to the kids, does your mommy love you? Oh, yeah, she loves us a lot. Does she like you? No, we've been bad. Hey, Harry, yeah, does your wife love you? Oh, yeah. Does she like you? No, not today. See, everybody knows mom loves him. And so as I was praying about this, I said, Lord, why have you not commanded a woman to agape love? In this inaudible voice, not audible, inaudible voice, I kind of said, I put it within the nature of women to nurture. Women love to love at the level of intimacy. I'm not going to command her to do what I created her to do because I'm not into redundancy. And a woman stops loving when you wound her. But if you don't wound her, she can't not love. I mean, listen to you women on how you express love. Tonight you said good night to your kids or goodbye to your kids. You called your mother, whatever. And when you said goodbye, you said, love you, love you, love you, love you, good night, love you, kids, love you, love you, love. When you write notes, love you, X's and O's, love you, love. It just doesn't stop. Why? Because God put that within your heart. They say that children who get lost in a recreational area, amusement park, what do they tell the kids to do now? If you're lost your mommy, look for a mommy who has 3 children around her and go tell her you're lost. Don't go to a man in uniform, because we don't know who's an imposter. But the only island of virtue, the only safe haven in this culture now is a mommy with 3 kids hanging on her. Safe. Virtue. Why? That's God's gift to humanity. But you know what? You really shouldn't take credit for that. God made you that way. So when you judge your husband as less loving to you, So one of the challenges, though, is I looked at it, I said, so Lord, I'm commanded. Why do you command me? Because I don't love by nature like Sarah loves by nature. If that's not true, then the command is moot. God puts me under divine command. There's an imperative for me to love. Why? Because I don't do naturally what Sarah does by nature. Doesn't mean it's an absolute thing. Doesn't mean she's a perfect lover and I have no love whatsoever. It just means, generally speaking, I am less loving than she is. So I'm under divine command. Now, the Greek word for respect, I'm not called and commanded to respect in the way God commands Sarah to respect. Why? Because every man here lives by the honor code. We know that if we diss another man in a certain part of a city on a street corner late at night, our throats will get slit. You just don't violate the honor code. You just don't do it. Men get white knuckling when they see this going on. You don't go there unless you're prepared to go to war. So we just naturally abide by the honor code unless we're prepared to fight. We just don't go there. And he's not going to command us to respect when he created us to live that way. So as I got into this, I realized, wow, this is pretty potent. And so then I'm less loving by nature. Sarah's less loving or less respectful by nature. In fact, what's really interesting, it's very natural for me to be unloving when I feel disrespected. And it's very natural for a woman to be disrespectful when she feels unloved. It's within my nature to react in a way that feels unloving to Sarah. And it's within Sarah's nature to be disrespectful when she feels unloved. And the command is given to stop that as a warning. And in fact, though, one of the reasons that God commands me to love is that Sarah needs my love. And I liken the fact that she has this love tank connected by an air hose, and she needs to breathe in that love from me. And when I come in and stand in her air hose, she deflates. The issue is no longer the issue. The issue is I'm standing on her love air hose, and she's deflating. Oh, I can't breathe. Yeah, I swallowed your contact, but you're reacting in a way that's so unloving, it's unbelievable, and you're humiliating me in front of your parents. I have a respect tank, and I need to breathe in that respect from her, not my behavior, the image of God within me. No husband feels fond feelings of love and affection in his heart toward a wife he thinks despises who he is as a human being. I mean, even Jesus doesn't feel about your husband the way you do. My dad was not a Judas, and I'm going to share with you that he came to Christ my freshman year at Wheaton. My mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother-in-law. We were not a Christian family. I came to Christ at age 16 because I went to a military school from age 13 to 18 due to family problems that I'll reference in a moment. But my mother, even though there were some things that happened, she did not see my dad as a Judas. She saw him as a Peter. Why do I put it that way? Judas denied Jesus. Peter denied Jesus. But there's a difference between the spirit of a Judas and the spirit of a Peter. And some of you may be looking at your husbands as a Judas when he's a Peter. And when Christ indwelt my father, I knew how Jesus viewed my dad, not as a Judas. How sad when we label them as a Judas when our Lord himself doesn't. And we're not talking then about respecting evil behavior. We're talking about respectfully confronting evil behavior. It's not so much about who my husband fails to be. It's about who God calls me to be. It's not about Sarah being lovable. It's about God's command to me to be loving. It's not about me being respectable. It's about God's call on Sarah to be respectful. Why? Because it's very natural for me to be unloving when she's not lovable and disrespectful. I got that down real easy. It's not hard for me to be unloving when she's not lovable and she's not respecting me. And it's not hard for her to be disrespectful when I'm not loving and I'm not respectable. But you know what? Our spouse is irrelevant when it comes to the command. So I have this air hose connected by this respect tank, and I need to breathe in that respect like I breathe in air. And when she stands on my air hose, and so the issue is no longer the issue. And so when I got the jean jacket and I said thank you, and she said I wasn't thankful, at a certain point I felt she was calling my integrity into question because I was thankful and she's telling me I'm not. So she's saying I'm a liar when I'm not a liar. And it was no longer about the jean jacket. I was feeling dissed. And I didn't call into question the fact that she loved me. I knew she loved me. Very much so. I didn't think she liked me. See, and this is the deal. Men don't deflate usually over the fact that their wife doesn't love them. Why? Because they love by nature. I'm not upset because you don't love me. And that's why women love on, well, I love you, I love you. I know you love me. And you see, he still goes off. Why? Because you don't understand. So what we're going to help you do is understand that on both sides. But the respect side is the novelty. This is the kind of thing that everybody kind of wonders. And what's even more interesting, we're going to talk about this, is unconditional love, unconditional respect. 1 Peter 3, verse 1 and 2, the women, apparently wives, were asking Peter, hey, my husband's disobedient to the word. How do I win him? And Peter said, you can win him without a word. And then he says this, by your respectful behavior. Respectful behavior. Verse 2, respectful behavior. Wow. Well, now wait a minute. Peter, the man is disobedient to the word, so he doesn't deserve respect. I know. And I've just unfolded in 1 Peter 2 that it's not about honor and respect coming to people who deserve it. You give respect to people who are even not gentle, not kind, not reasonable. It's about who God calls us to be. We're to be loving people, honoring people, respectful people. And that's how we win hearts. No one will respond to our contempt, our belligerence, and our rudeness. So we give them that gift. We don't compromise truth, but we deliver it in a way that honors them. And what about Hosea, this prophet? At one point in Hosea 3, the prophet Hosea says, he's told, go love a woman who's an adulteress. Well, who was that woman that he was to go and love? It was Gomer. Yeah, well, who's Gomer? His wife. How do you win a woman? Love. But what kind of love is this? Does this love if love is unconditional, does that mean he says to Gomer, hey, you know, I just love the fact that you're committing adultery with our neighbor down the street. I want to show you how much I love you. Go ahead and keep doing that. Because I love you unconditionally. And unconditional means there's no boundaries, you know, nothing. So unconditional means you can do whatever you want. Unconditional means I'm giving you license. We'd all say that's silly. But, you know, it's not silly when you talk about unconditional respect, because unconditional respect is viewed as an oxymoron, a contradiction of terms. Wait a minute, respect has to be earned, has to be deserved. I'm not going to give him any respect at all until he loves me ways that are meaningful. Whoa, 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 whoa. Unconditional respect has nothing to do with him. So let me define what unconditional love and unconditional respect is. Unconditional love means there's no condition, no circumstance, no situation that can get me to hate you. That's not easy. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm just saying it's true. This person doesn't cause me to be unloving. They reveal that I've made a decision to be unloving. But unconditional means there's no condition, no circumstance, no situation that can get me to hate you or to act unlovingly toward you as I deal with your issues. You need to stop having sex with the neighbor, Gomer. I love you too much, and we're going to set boundaries here. But there's nothing you can do to get me to hate you or to stop loving you. But there are going to be boundaries. There will be conditions on our relationship. These circumstances have to stop. This situation is unacceptable. But I love you in spite of it all. Unconditional respect means there's no situation, no circumstance, no condition that can get me to show you contempt for who you are as a human being. Because Jesus Christ would not do that. Now, there are boundaries. Your disobedience, I appeal to you to stop. You can't do this. In their condition, I wouldn't be respecting myself or respecting you if I continued to enable this to go on. But I want you to know I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And I know who God calls you to be more than I think you know that. And I will never have disdain in my heart for you. I believe in you too much. And see, what happens when we approach that person that way, they come under conviction. But the world says the way you bring your husband under conviction is by showing him disrespect to motivate him to be loving. How's that working for you? And the world says, you be unloving to show that woman to start showing you some more respect. So we have holy ends, but we use unholy means. And you can't achieve worthy ends through unholy means. God isn't pleased with that. It's not going to work. So, is this easy to do? Absolutely not. But it's not as tough as we sometimes think.
I made a discovery based on the Bible verse most consider God's foundational summary to marriage, Ephesians 5:33. There, God calls the husband and wife to do one thing each. Let me make several points. First, this message is simple because there are only two concepts, love and respect. That's it. God summarizes marriage with love and respect. And what's more, based on our gender, God calls us to focus primarily on just one of these truths. What a deal. Only two, but we only have to focus on one. When a husband does this one thing, he does marriage God's way. When a wife does this one thing, she does marriage God's way. It's just that simple. God did not intend to make marriage complex. He intends for an uneducated and primitive jungle person who believes in Jesus to understand and apply this foundational summary statement on marriage, as he does a nuclear physicist. Recently, I chatted with a person who has his PhD in Old Testament Hebrew, and I made the point that God intends for a primitive person created in His image to hear Ephesians 5:33 and apply it. This means God does not intend to make this complex for anyone, whether a 13-year-old jungle girl who knows Jesus, but she's newly married in an assigned marriage to the chief's son, or a 36-year-old who just married and graduated from Oxford Medical School as a brain surgeon who heads to Harvard Medical School to teach. That idea hit this Old Testament scholar deeply. He said, yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. God does intend this to be simple, love and respect. Second, this simple message illuminates us on why we negatively react to each other and what to do to reduce these negative reactions. Can I ask you a question? Do you negatively react to each other in your marriage more than you find acceptable? Most of us say yes to that. I will explain how to decode what is really going on during most negative reactions, which is just one thing in her and one thing in him, and how to diffuse that negativity. I refer to this negative reaction as the crazy cycle. This crazy cycle explains why we negatively react to each other, and I will give you the tools to jump off the crazy cycle when it begins to spin, and it spins for all of us. Third, this simple message empowers you by enabling you to motivate the other. We will learn what the key is to motivating another person. This one thing has revolutionized many marriages. This message has been translated into 21 different languages around the world and growing. It really works. It takes some work, as my wife Sarah says, but it works. It really does influence and energize your spouse. I refer to this as the energizing cycle. The energizing cycle explains why and how to motivate your spouse and what they can do to motivate you. And fourthly, lastly, everything you do in this marriage matters to God, even when it doesn't matter to your spouse. When your spouse does not respond to you, God does. Now, we're not unrealistic about marital problems. There are seasons when you feel like you are holding up both ends of the log. Your spouse does not seem interested in positively reciprocating at this point in time. Whatever their reason, they are not meeting you halfway. Is all lost? Not according to the Bible. I refer to this as the rewarded cycle. The rewarded cycle explains what to do when a spouse is not responding. God rewards what you do even though your spouse seems distant at this juncture. Whatever their reasons, they cannot stop you from doing the one thing God calls you to do. You are free, and I will explain why. Tens of thousands of couples have gone through this simple love and respect message. Are you ready? For these 10 sessions, you will need the workbook. In the workbook, we have additional information that will enable you to apply this simple message. For instance, we have discussion questions for you to answer, stories to read and discuss, a devotional session, and the pertinent information available to you for quick review and reference. We also have a notebook within the workbook that allows you to take notes as you watch the video. Let's begin this inspired and inspirational message based on Ephesians 5:33. One well-known person who's a friend of mine refers to this message as the Holy Grail of marriage. He's also said that it's comparable to discovering medicine. that cures the common cold.
Janice,
Yes, ma'am.
would you like to go over the questions
The questions.
in the book?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to pull them up on my computer so everybody can see if anybody's book. Hold on just a second. Okay, let's see. Go away. Okay. So we did this last Wednesday and it took us like forever and a day. So we're gonna skip a few questions, but let's do this. Okay, so I have no idea where Ronnie is either. Okay, here's the book. In 2 pages. Okay, here's session 1. So first of all, what did you guys think about that? The blue and the pink, just wondering.
Well, obviously, we do have differences. Yeah.
Did you ever think about it that way? Like, did you ever, oh, I'm pink and I'm hearing blue and I'm hearing pink. Did you ever like go there?
Well, we did a long time ago. We read the Venus Mars book.
Oh, yeah.
We also went into counseling shortly after we were married. Remember?
Yes, we did.
Good for you. You guys did counseling? How long did you?
Shortly after we were married.
Yeah. I mean, Ronnie and I did counseling for like 10 years straight, 3 times a week. So, it just takes what it
Uh-huh.
But did it help you?
We're still together.
Good. That's good.
Well, there was one session where the psychologist just got under my skin a little too much, and I walked out on the session.
Oh.
And I think
Yeah.
she said something to Janice. I pushed him too hard or something like that.
Yeah. I had forgotten about that.
We were blessed to have, let me turn my video on. I'm sorry. I mean, we were blessed to have and I don't know where Ronnie is. I think he's live on Facebook somewhere. We had a Christian counselor that we knew that was friends with our pastor, and she was actually my wife, really sweet lady. And, I could still go to her if I needed to, but really nice. Her name's Carolyn Dixon. She just did a lot for us. So, okay, let's get down and dirty. All right. So, what did you guys, okay, Ronnie totally failed the diet book thing this week. In the diet book story, she hears, I don't accept, approve of, or love you unless you look like a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. In the marriage book story, he hears, I don't accept, approve of, or respect you unless you change and become more loving like me. So how do you guys feel about that situation? Have you ever, like, Ronnie totally came to me, he's like, you need to exercise. I'm like, did you not listen in love and respect? Because I've been taking all of these broker classes and I've been sitting on my, for like, it's been like 2 or 3 weeks, not exercising, not doing anything. And the guy that wants you to die, and I'm like, oh, wow. So Ronnie, if you're there, you can go ahead and chime in if you want, but since you're on Facebook, you can't. Anyway, what do you guys think about just that part? Have you ever had any like just analogies like that happen?
I don't recall any.
Well, I didn't hear that. What was that?
So did you hear about when he talked about he stopped and thought he was doing a great thing by getting his wife a diet book?
Yeah.
And then she got him a marriage book.
Oh, okay.
She highlighted the book.
I don't think that ever happened in our
Yeah.
33 years of marriage. I can't say that did. I think maybe one time, I don't know, I may have bought her a toaster or something like that, which was very unloving.
No, what was the toaster for?
I don't know. We needed a new toaster.
I think our toaster was toasted.
Thing to do, buy a toaster if you need a toaster. That's fun.
Because we needed one.
So it says Ephesians 5:33, nevertheless, each individual among you is also to love his own wife, even as himself. And the wife must see to it that she respects her husband. We asked 7,000 people this question. When you are in conflict with your spouse or significant other, do you feel unloved at the moment or disrespected?
I don't know. Sometimes I complain about things.
And I would say justifiably so.
We all do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm 70 years old. And
wow. Are you really?
I have health issues. And I can't do now what I would have been able to do 20 years ago. So the way I react to a situation is totally different given my health profile.
I don't know what to say. Well, we all have I could say this, we all have a voice and we can speak, loving words. So that might help. I don't know if you guys are having trouble or not, but that's all the guy has to do is just, I love you. That's all he has to say. And it's like, okay, everything's great. I mean, and I think it's harder for the woman to, not necessarily say, I respect you, but do respectful things for them, even when they're being, less. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to be loving towards your wife if she's being a, it's hard to do that. And I get it. And Ronnie and I we've done this study. I am no perfect than anybody else. I'm just reading the questions. I have done this study like 15 times and we are still, he's in the other room right now. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's hard to do. It's hard to apply. As long as you try, I think that, God will bless that and he will make it happen. He'll make things happen. So.
Mm-hmm.
And Janice, I want to hear what you would have to say. How would you tell your husband that you respect him without saying, I respect you? You know what I mean? Just in a loving way or however, how would you say that? And not say
how would I say that? Well, most of the time I do things.
Yeah. Like she cooks. She takes care of the financial things and one reason is because she's involved in real estate now. So that makes our income taxes a lot more difficult. So she's kind of taken over the financial things.
Be able to write them all off and have nothing to.
But no, I know, just and her just doing real estate. We, financially, things are precarious because of our two sons who have challenged us financially. We are with our 6-year-old grandson right now. He's sitting in Janice's lap. So we're involved with that. And so I know she takes care of Liam, and I know she works to make extra money. And I mean, tonight she cooked, and not always the occasion she does cook, but so, you know,
She's
I'm
a good
grateful.
cook too. She cooked that cheesecake. Wow. She cooks a mean cheesecake.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that cheesecake was gone the next day.
Oh, I know. I almost had it all over here. Your wife is a beautiful woman, and I am so excited to be able to know her and call her friend now. She's just a great woman. So just so you know, and I pray for you guys. I know you guys have your challenges, and I can't imagine what you're going through. And I just pray for you to be strong and, you know, stand up for yourselves. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I know, I get it. I would do the same thing. I promise you I would. Okay, so now we're on, let's see. Okay, where do you guys think you're on the crazy cycle? Did you hear about what he said about the crazy cycle? Or are you guys anywhere close to anything? I mean,
I'd say we don't overreact.
No, we don't. And,
Good.
and I think because of the situation we've been put in by our two sons,
yeah.
can't afford to overreact because you're literally you're waiting for the next shoe to drop.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
And if you overreact, you're going to be out of control. It's going to affect you mentally and physically. And you just kind of have to go with the flow, so to speak.
Like the one time your psychologist said you needed to give Zach an ultimatum, and that
didn't work.
It didn't work at all.
No.
What happened? I know you said you were upset.
He's bipolar, and he won't take any medicine. He's 25 years old. I think I tried this maybe 2 years ago or something like that. This was based upon her experience with her own daughter, who was bipolar, and so she recommended to me to give him a because he's not paying any rent here or anything like that, and we were paying for this, paying for that, so he got mad and walked out the door or something like that. I don't know. It just
At home?
Yeah, at home. It didn't work.
Oh.
He still has meltdowns.
Yeah.
But not with us, with his girlfriend.
With his girlfriend. So when that happens, we try to gather everybody, like Liam, our grandson, and our dog, in our bedroom and close the door so we can't hear it.
Oh man, that's not good. Okay. Hey buddy, how are you? Are you supposed to be in bed right now?
Hi. Now he's hiding.
I see you. He's the sneaker of the videos. He's always on video when we talk.
Yes. How about that?
Okay. So for me, for the crazy cycle, without love, she reacts without respect, of course. And without respect, he reacts without love. And that totally works. And it's not good. It's not good to get on that crazy cycle. That's where I'm at right now. It says 1 Peter 3:1-2. Even if any of them are disobedient to the word, they may be won without a word by the behavior of their wives, as they observe your respectful behavior. And it says, are you sure love and respect are the deepest needs? Then it tells about some scriptures. Let's see, is she conscious of her need for love, and is he conscious for his need for respect? How do you guys feel about that? Do you guys think about that ever? Like, do you feel like you need to be loved, Janice, or do you feel like you need to be respected?
Well, when I complain, I feel like it's a disrespectful situation.
Yeah. I see you.
Now he's hiding again.
What was your husband's name again? I'm sorry, I forgot. Richard, what do you think? How do you feel about that?
I I've lived long enough that expecting respect is not really a truth or something like that in the world or something like that. I don't know. It's just, it's just things happen.
Well, now that you know about it, how do you feel about it? Like, how would you apply it in your life today?
No,
I'm just,
no. I wouldn't do anything different. I wouldn't do anything different. No.
I'm glad y'all's marriage is perfect. That's awesome.
No,
it's not perfect.
No, it's not perfect. It's not perfect.
Yeah. So how do you, I'm just curious to know how, Janice, how do you show it? And how do you show it, Richard? I mean, how do you go there,
Well, I ask her, like, for example, when she has a book fair at school, how that went. I'll ask her how her showings or her apartment showings she's done went, So I get to know some of her clients a little bit, some of the crazy ones too. So
isn't that fun? So that's how you show love. That's how you show love.
I guess by showing interest in what she's doing.
I like that. What about you, Janice?
I guess I show love by doing.
Yeah, same. I did the same.
Yeah.
So now that I know that, now I guess I should wait and hear from Ronnie if he.
Now my dog's looking at me.
There's Gracie.
Oh, Gracie. German Shepherds are the best.
Well,
I saw
a
17-year-old German Shepherd online today, and she was celebrating his birthday. So now I feel better about Kingdom not dying too early, because I saw a 17-year-old one. And I was like, oh, good.
Yeah.
He's 9 years old and I got him just now. And anyway, so how old is Gracie?
2.
Oh, she's young. We need to bring her over and they could have a play date.
She
would wear Kingdom out.
Yeah.
I know he needs to be worn out. He's a brat.
she's got
Stop it,
two
Leah.
male what do you call them? Not boyfriends or whatever.
Dog friends.
That's got 3.
Yeah, one of them is Captain, and the other one is Toby, and they're at the sometimes they're at the dog park. Oh, particularly Toby, he is at the dog park a lot. Same.
Take him to the dog park?
Huh?
I get nervous about going to the dog park because first of all, I've socialized him. He's a rescue, Richard. He barks and he growls when he wants to show love. The other night he bit me on my head, but he didn't really bite me. I was just messing with him, so I deserved it. But he's an old man. He's stuck in his ways, and we rescued him at 9, and he's just old. And he had heartworms. He had a skin disease. He had all kinds of yuck, and I'm just afraid to take him anywhere because he growls and barks so much. But his bark is bigger than his bite. It just really is. I'll put my face near his barking and his growling, and he won't do anything.
Well, I'm sorry. I can understand. There are a lot of. I think most of the dogs at the dog park are rescue dogs, but they're not old. Which makes a big difference.
Yeah, my friend was. She said we need to create a whole section just for older rescue dogs or older dogs that are. I was like, that's a good idea. So
most of the dogs at the dog park are on the younger side.
Yeah.
Gracie developed a bad habit in November of being possessive. If she had a ball, tennis ball in her mouth at the dog park, she became possessive. And if another dog challenged her, she would get ferocious.
Mm-hmm.
We had to take her away from the dog park for a little while and start some training with her.
Oh.
An electronic collar.
Yeah.
And so that has helped us to overcome that problem. That's the only behavioral problem she really has in terms of
big
but
time
he's
as it.
really getting over it because the training's been worth it.
Did you know that my dog trainer told me that that's people training?
What is
It's not-
that?
My dog trainer said that when he was training my dog that just passed away, he said it's people training, it's not dog training.
Oh, absolutely. It's the people that are getting trained, not the dog.
No. And German shepherds are possessive as it is. They just don't touch my mama, you know what I mean? And so or don't touch my ball or whatever. So I think they're really possessive as it is.
I've got her. I've got her to the point. She's having a little bit of problems with training, and a lot of it is she's just got there are too many cooks in the kitchen here at this house, and everybody has their own way of addressing her.
There's forgiveness here.
And so I think, and so when she goes to training, she's expected to just hear one voice, but she's not used to that, and she gets really tense, extremely tense. And I'm thinking about stopping the sessions because she just gets so tense, it's just counterproductive. And we don't, I mean, our situation here is what it is, okay? We got a 25-year-old son living with us, a 28-year-old son living with us, a 6-year-old grandson living with us, and a two-year-old half husky, half shepherd with us. And
I bet he's vocal. She's vocal. Oh wow.
No, she isn't vocal. But
Yes, she is.
if someone comes to the front door, she is.
Well,
Because huskies are very vocal.
Oh yeah. If I start to put my shoes on, I catch it from her because she thinks we're going to go either to the dog park or for a walk.
Yeah. Has she said I love you yet? Huskies are really vocal.
Tries to lick my face.
My last dog that just passed away, he said I love you. Oh, it was so sweet. My husband kept messing with him and saying I love you, and he finally said I love you. He barked it. It was so cool. I have it on video somewhere. But I love dogs. This is my second dog and I just love them. They're good for the soul. So, okay, let me real quick. What time is it? I'm going to respect your time. Oh, it's only 8:23. Okay, so we're good. Okay, so, and I love that I'm with you guys because I'm learning from wisdom here. Let's see. Are you saying? Okay, so are you saying he needs unconditional respect equal to her need for unconditional love? Like needs oxygen, she needs unconditional love and he needs unconditional respect. Both have equal needs through these needs are not the same, though these needs are not the same. Unconditional love means there is no circumstance that can get a husband to show hostility towards his wife. That's his dog decision. She does not make him harsh and hostile, but reveals these things about him. Unconditional respect means there is no situation that can get a wife to what is that word? I can't even say that word right now. I'm tired. That's her weapon of choice. Unconditional respect is a biblical teaching. Honor all men, love the brotherhood, honor the king. 1 Peter 2:17. Respect those who are good and gentle, but also those who are unreasonable. 1 Peter 2:18. I was laughing through the whole go down to the next door neighbor and do your next door neighbor and then come back and I'll still love you. I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. That whole situation was terrible.
Janice is trying to deal with Liam right now.
Oh, Janice.
He's being too rowdy.
He was getting rowdy with Gracie.
Liam, he
was sitting on her.
We're doing a Bible study right now that has to do with your grandma and grandpa. Can you come sit on the bed with us and listen? They really need this, just like you do.
I'm back. He's calmed down, I think.
So I was talking about the whole where he was talking about, hey, the wife was being she was cheating on her man and going down the street, and then coming back and he was being respectful. Did you remember that? Do you remember that?
Yeah. It was.
I was like, I could not. Yeah, I would be a little upset. I don't think I could be so kind as he was. I thought he was kidding at first. How would you react to that, Janice?
It would not be okay.
No, but he was like, I'm still gonna love you, and agape love and all this and that. And then my whole thing this week, I did this study last week, and my whole thing this week was to agape love Ronnie. And then I heard he just said that you can't agape love the man, but the man can agape love you, but you can phileo, whatever that means. I don't know. I need to look it up.
Be a friend.
Yeah, to your husband. That's
yeah.
To your husband. So I was like, oh, I was trying to be agape love. I put it on my mirror and everything, because in the end, there's we did this with another couple last week because they were needing to visit. And in the end, it's just a homework assignment where you decide what you're going to do for your husband. So anyway, yeah, I don't know how I felt about that. What do you think, Richard? Would you tell your wife to go down?
No.
Yeah.
But, I also ignore the fact that I'm husband number 2.
Yeah, I'm wife number 2, so I get it. Poor Janice. Picking on you, sorry. Yeah, I get it.
That does not matter to me at all.
It really doesn't matter to you.
No.
Oh, it's. I guess Ronnie's not going to chime in at all in this meeting. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, it's been a challenge for me over the years. Some things happen and this and that, and I'm still with my husband, and we still love each other. It's just not fun being the second wife, second pick,
Well, we didn't get married until I was 36, and she was 32, and by that time we had enough life experience to kind of know what was what.
Yeah. So Janice, you learned your lesson and then moved on, huh?
Yeah.
Good for you. Well, Ronnie's 12 years older than me, and I always tell him it's gonna be okay, we're gonna be fine, and it doesn't matter. And I got married young and had babies young, 23. So I didn't know anything when I got married. I was pregnant, so I got married. And I loved Ronnie. I love him now. It's just I was pregnant and had to get married. Went down the aisle 3 months pregnant, and my dad had to hold my dress up because my dress was falling. Now, Liam, what are you doing? You're distracting your grandma. I can see her.
Rebecca's talking to you, Liam. She asked you a question. Did you hear the question?
He's shy.
Yeah.
Having grandkids, how is that? How is that?
It's like starting over when you're 60s, in your 60s
or 70s. There's a reason why God did not make us have the ability to be parents in your 60s or your 70s.
Yeah, I know.
It's physically much more demanding when you are older than when you're younger, and it's a real challenge, a real real challenge.
Is it not like getting to do it over again, like with your kids, like getting to do it right? Or
Oh, no, you kind of have to back away a little bit because you got a father involved. Okay, his father lives here, and
he's not involved though, is he?
the dynamics that goes on is when his father is a father, you as a grandparent just have to
Step away.
Weird, huh?
The father.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between being a grandparent and being a parent.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Let the parent be the parent, and use the grandparent just have to step away.
Yeah. That's the fun part when you're grandparents. So they go home, right? They get
Yes.
to go.
He doesn't go. He's
I
home
know.
here. He's home here.
He loves you guys so much. He's
He does.
look at him. You really got, and sometimes it is what it is. You gotta, I don't know what to say. I want to come over there and beat your son up, but that's all. I don't know what to say.
Oh, well, he's not here.
We'll talk later about that because Leon's never. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we went to, where are we at? Can I learn? Number 11. Okay. The whole pink and blue thing. So you guys got that. You already understood that with your study you did before, the pink and blue.
Well, we just read the book Venus and Mars.
So was it like pink and blue, like you speak pink and Richard speaks blue, and
Venus and one is from Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the difference, same as pink and blue.
I like that whole pink and blue analogy though, because and then he talks about turning it into purple, which is royal, God's color. And combining the two and just really, making it work. And I never thought about it, like he said, when I say something I don't have anything to wear, I really don't have anything new. Or that fits me. And then when my husband says it, he doesn't have anything clean. And that's so true, and I don't know. Did you guys relate to that at all?
Maybe. Yeah.
So he was talking about, so when the wife says, I don't have anything to wear, she's saying she doesn't have anything new. Mm-hmm. The guy says he's saying I don't have anything clean. That's talking.
Yeah. I think my issue is it doesn't fit anymore.
Me too. It's my thing. It's not that I don't need something new. It's my thing is I don't have anything
that fits.
I'm gonna go. I'll give it all to you, Janice. You can have it all.
I got the same problem with things fitting.
Good. I'm glad I'm not.
We went to the where did we go, Janice?
To the awards.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I hadn't worn a tie in, I don't know, 2 or 3 years or something like that. And dress pants. I finally found a pair of pants. So when I say I may not have a thing to wear, it can be true.
Yeah. Well, you should have went and got something, Richard. I made Ronnie go buy some stuff. He got him a new suit at the rack.
Well, we are on a very strict budget.
Well, it was like shopping at Walmart. I kid you not. It was not expensive at all. It was pretty cheap. Oh. So anyway, I get it.
We get hit by things that like our young son is 25, broke his ankle 2 weeks ago.
Who broke his ankle?
Zach, our younger son.
Oh, no. He had 2 surgeries on it. He had quit his job, and his job was offering him COBRA coverage. And so we did pay the COBRA coverage to let him have insurance in place. And the COBRA coverage is $700 a month.
So he had to borrow from mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll never get repaid.
Yeah. But that was expensive.
Yeah. I'm gonna look into some other option for April
Well,
for
same to me. I would do the same. I would do this. I would follow every to the T what you guys are doing. You know, if they came to me about needing their help with their kid, I can talk all day long about, you know, oh, shame on them, you know, but if my kids came to me and said I need help, I would help them. So I do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some people just don't understand it, but it's true. Well, look, both of these guys have issues. One is bipolar with learning deficiencies, and then our older son Kevin is high functioning autistic with learning disabilities. So,
as long as they both have a job, then you're good, right?
Yeah.
They both.
Yeah.
They both have jobs.
Well,
but Zach can't work till his ankle is healed.
And Kevin is taking a job where he doesn't earn as much money as he could. He's working at the Chaparral ice rink, and what that does is it gets free lessons and free summer camp for his son, Liam. Now he said, I can make more money doing something else, but he gets everything free for Liam.
Well, then maybe he can go during the summer while you guys, and then you guys can go on a cruise or something.
A cruise?
A cruise? No, that's not in the budget.
In the summer, he's going to go to the ice rink more, or what?
He did last summer.
Yeah, we just have to keep him from getting kicked out for behavior problems.
Well, his father should be a teacher, right?
Yes.
There you go. So he can probably handle it while he's there, huh?
Yeah, he should be better this summer.
Good. Well, hopefully he can go to day camp or something, and Dad can be there.
Because he loves ice skating, so
good.
He's a great skater.
Yeah, he's a great skater.
No reason for you to act out. You just go and skate and enjoy yourself.
Okay, Liam? Okay, Liam?
He's going to get mad. Just go and skate and have fun. He's going to sleep now. Like, oh.
Yes.
Hi, Betty. Night, night. I miss when my girls were little. I do. They're big and grown now. They're in college.
He pulled my arm around him to hug him in the front.
Oh,
and that's pretty special.
He's a good boy. I'm gonna cry.
He likes to cuddle.
Yep.
I'm crying.
He needed my arm.
Yeah. See, I'm crying. I was missing my girls today. They're in college and they're just older.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And then Ronnie pulls out the old pictures and I'm like, stop, I'm trying to work here. And he's like,
I saw those pictures he posted.
Yeah, I posted some and he was pulling out the just stuff that makes me cry. And I'm like, stop. Kids are in college and they don't want to talk to mom and dad right now. They're older. Anyway, now I'm really crying. I need tissue. Okay, what's the next question? All right. Let's see. How do I get my spouse to meet my need? A wife sees her acts of love as respectful, and I'm crying. And a husband sees his acts of respect as loving. Thus both wonder, why should my spouse feel disrespected or unloved? As a wife sees her act of love as respectful, and a husband sees his act of respect as loving, thus both wonder, why should my spouse feel disrespected or unloved? What do you think about that question?
What page are you on?
23. Bottom of 23.
23. Oh, I was on 13. You're
Yeah.
on 23.
Well, it's 8:40, so I'm trying to respect your time.
20, page 23.
How do I get my spouse to meet my need?
Oh, page 23 is session 2.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Never mind.
Session 2 starts on page 22.
Oh, let's go. Okay. Sorry.
23, yeah.
Let's see.
Are you on page 23?
I don't know. I just was going through the questions just here and there. Okay, just here we go. There's 29. How come I can't go the other way? Okay, it's going that way. Let's see if I go this way. There we go. Okay.
Oh, were you on page 21, midweek devotional? Pink and blue, not wrong, but just different?
Yes. Yes. You want to read that? Read that.
One of the most powerful and eye-opening concepts in the love and respect approach to marriage is the difference between pink and blue. We aren't talking about how to decorate a nursery. We are simply pointing out how God made men and women different as the colors pink and blue. I use the simple analogy that when the woman looks at the world through pink sunglasses, that color all she sees. The man, however, looks at the world through blue sunglasses, that color all he sees. Men and women can look at precisely the same situation and see life very differently. Inevitably, their pink and blue lenses cause their interpretation of things to be at odds. In some cases, more so than others. Men and women not only see differently, but they also hear differently. To carry the pink and blue analogy a little further, God created men with blue hearing aids and women with pink hearing aids. They may hear the same words, but receive very different messages, as in the statement, I have nothing to wear. She hears nothing new, while he hears nothing clean. Because men and women figuratively wear sunglasses and hearing aids in different colors, they see, hear, and behave differently in countless ways. When she wants to talk face to face and he wants her to sit next to him and watch football, this is a pink and blue difference.
I have no expectation she's gonna football.
Do you want Janice to watch football with you?
No, I have no expectation she'll
But-
do this.
Well, we met each other at a Super Bowl party.
Aww. So now that's that you have to now.
And I sat next to him.
Yeah,
Aw.
yeah, she sat next to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and I have a strong history of depression in my family, on my father's side. So, I still see a psychiatrist and a psychologist. And when we lived in Los Angeles, Janice was having some difficulties. And so it's very unusual for a psychiatrist to see both husband and wife separately, but he saw her for a couple sessions. And the one thing that he told me, and it was like a one sentence handbook about her, is he says, your wife always has to be busy.
Even back then.
Even back then.
Okay.
That's how some
Wife
people.
always has to be busy.
And I think I got that from my dad,
I think you did too.
because my dad worked a day job and he'd come home and get on the tractor
Yep,
and farm the farm
yep,
nights and weekends.
yep,
And what am I doing nights and weekends? Real estate.
yep.
Well, you need to quit the library job.
Well, I need to replace my current income.
Yep. We'll talk in a couple of weeks here.
All right.
We'll talk because I'm about to have my broker's license. So we'll talk. And so I'm so excited. I took 904 hours of classes.
for
Yeah.
your broker license.
Isn't
But
that
when do you take the exam?
I need to apply now. Now that I've taken everything, and send them all my stuff. And then it takes like 14 days for them to, I guess, respond. I don't know why. And then they give me it when I can go take my exam. So in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I'm going to take some classes that I can, recap on stuff like study classes or whatever. And take one of the best ones. I'm going to look and see which one is good.
People recommend Champions.
I know I've been taking Champions, but I really don't like Champions.
Really?
I've taken like 300 or 400 hours with them just recently, and I'm just not digging them at all. At all. I mean,
Go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted.
it's okay. Go ahead.
No, my entire career was involved one way or another with commercial real estate, shopping malls, high-rise office buildings, that kind of stuff. Worked for not agents, but we represented like pension funds for the real estate holdings, so when we thought about doing real estate here, I went through all the classes with her, but I had real estate up to over the top of my head. I'd had too much real estate my whole life, and I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I was a broker in California.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can get your license again. You just gotta.
No.
It's been 15 years, 16 years.
The requirements back then were very easy.
I know.
They were very easy in California. If you had a college degree, and if you had these 12 courses, and I had to go to UCLA to take these courses, and I did one a quarter. They were on a quarter system, and because I was traveling a lot with my company, and so it took me 3 years to get those UCLA courses.
Yeah.
And then I sat for the broker's exam, and I failed it the first time, but went to a place where they have key questions, that kind of thing, and then second time.
Yeah.
And I really didn't use it, but it kind of helped define me as who I was, because they looked at me primarily as an accountant, as a controller, and I got to move up to an asset manager, as a result of that. So it was as important as my college degree, to get them to look at me, get my employer to look at me in a different way and give me a chance to be an asset manager.
So what'd you do as an asset manager?
Try to increase the value of the properties. Yeah. Well, basically, you manage the leasing agents and you manage the property managers. And you're the contact between, with Richard Ellis. Well, they're now associated with. I'm losing my memory here. Anyway, but with Richard Ellis, it was British pension funds. With the other company I worked with, it was Taft-Hartley pension funds, union pension funds, and we also had a client with the Utah retirement system. I did a lot of work for the Utah retirement system because they had a campaign of going into joint ventures with this one developer who's developing warehouse properties, bulk distribution warehouse properties all over the country. And so anyway, I'd had enough of real estate. Really, and I'm not a good salesperson either. I'm a terrible salesperson. I don't like it.
State's way different than residential. I have this teacher her name is Sue, and Sue Eichler in Champions, and she is a beast. I mean, she is a beast. And I even told her during class, I was like, you're a beast. Like, because you have to, as a male in the commercial, realm, it's different than being a female, and it's way different. So, and it's different, it's not like residential. I don't know, you might like residential, you know what I mean?
All I did was a few models on residential, and they were with some stuff, old stuff in downtown. He's snoring. In downtown LA, that if they renovate them, they get tax credits. And that was the only thing I ever did with residential real estate. It was some modeling of a couple properties that a client was looking at in downtown Los Angeles to rehab them and get the tax credits.
Right. Yeah. So what do you do now, Richard?
I'm retired.
Oh, are you? Okay. I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
70. I mean,
nice.
I
But I think I will ever be able to, because I have to be always working. I'm like, I don't know, I have to be doing something like Janice, I get it. Something.
My problem was, until I met her, I was a workaholic. Yeah. I was working all the time, and I felt guilty when I wasn't working. I mean, I worked Sundays, just ridiculous hours. And I don't know how much longer I could have gone on like that if she hadn't sat next to me. I was about